are live on Facebook. So welcome everybody. We got Carol, myself, and Champ. We're live here. Sports on the Hill podcast, episode number 308. And we got Carol live on Facebook. I've been doing a live Twitch show for the last hour, doing an art show and an affiliate stream show. So if you want to catch the first hour of that, you can always go back and check out the VODs are on our YouTube. But we've got a super exciting show. Carol, let people know what we'll be talking about tonight.
Well, tonight, as always, we're bringing you all the best other sports around. We got all four major sports we're going to be covering. First, we're going to start off with, of course, the 2023 NFL Draft and the Commanders draft picks. Then we're going to get into some Defenders talk. Then we're going to talk about the unfortunate sports that our teams are no longer or weren't in the play in the NHL and NBA playoffs. They have been exciting. I must admit, I've been watching some NBA. Now I'm watching my Golden State Warriors. I'm an undercover, Warriors fan, but I've been following them. They had a great Game 7. I'm definitely going to chime in on some of the NBA talk with you guys because I've actually been checking it out along with the NHL playoffs. We have a Game 7 going on right now that Robbie already updated you on. I'm about to turn that on in the lab shortly. And then, as I was saying, on Wednesday, we have our Commanders off-season special coming to you at a special time at 4:00. And we have a special guest interview on the show. We have the XFL North champion, XFL Defenders Coach Reggie Barlow, calling in, doing a live Zoom interview at 4:00 on Wednesday. So be sure to tune in. If you have any questions you want me to ask, feel free to put them in the comments, inbox me. I'll get them out there for all the Defender fans that's tuning in. You're going to see it later on. I'm going to definitely chop the video up and put it into the groups. But be sure to tune in Wednesday. I'm going to be getting my questions and everything together tomorrow. So any questions you guys want to have for the coach about the team, the upcoming game, XFL, anything, feel free to hit me up. I get the questions out there and I get them answered for you. So we got a great show today. Got another great show lined up on Wednesday. And if you haven't noticed, I'm back, people. CP3 is officially back on Sports on the Hill every Monday night. So, yes, it was a seven-month hiatus that was very painful, but it had to be done. Moves had to be made, and the moves have been made. So CP3 is officially back on Sports on the Hill podcast every Monday night, coming to you live from the lab.
I'm so happy about
W's
that.
upon W's upon W's.
I know. I mean, there's so much to
Yes,
break.
sir.
There's so much to break down. I'm so happy you get the interview with the head coach, the week after we won the North. And so I have an announcement to make on this podcast. Obviously, if we win this last game, we're going to update this merch. So, I've been a big fan of this District of Champions merch, and we're going to come up with a whole new merch line, District of Champions 2.0. And we're going to put all of the teams that won it. So we're going to include the Defenders and the Valor, and so on. Carl, are you having a problem with something? You okay?
No, I got a little lag going on over here. I lost your audio for a minute. I don't know if it's residual from my mishap before or just a little disconnect. But we still good to go. Still good to go. My audio is again.
Yeah, sounds good. It's I'm so excited. Hopefully we'll get to update this merch. I'm so excited for your one-on-one. Carol's done these great one-on-one interviews, and we've done interviews throughout these 8 seasons of this podcast. And some of my favorite ones have been some of these one-on-one interviews. And is Dujanet going to be in there with you, or are you going to interview the coach by yourselves first and then bring Dujanet in after? Do you know?
It will be Dujanet and CP3 dual interview with the coach.
Nice. Awesome. That is exciting. So we got our 2 greatest football minds of the podcast in there, and asking the questions. It'll be interesting. I'll actually have landed and been in Texas when you guys are doing this. So hopefully maybe I can sneak in and catch some of it live, but I know you guys are going to hit out of the park. Anybody that wants to know where they can listen to it, you can always check it out on Carol's Facebook page. It'll be on his YouTube channel as well. And then on top of all of that, I'm sure we'll clip it up and put it as a bonus episode on our audio podcast. And I'll definitely put the video and the audio podcast on our website. If not, while I'm away, right when I get back, for sure. And so excited about this interview. I'm so excited that the Defenders won the North. We'll be talking about that in a second. I'm excited about some of the draft stuff that you'll be breaking down with Dugenet, and we'll talk a little bit about tonight. There's so much good news. The Nats actually had a halfway decent week, which is cool.
Until tonight.
Oh, I haven't watched
Chicago. The game. I was going to get the notes for it until everything went haywire. But yeah, they took a loss 5-1 tonight. But it was a good week, 500 week. They played well, could have played better and won the week. But unfortunately, they came up short. But they won. They went 500, which the way they've been playing lately, that's a positive.
Yeah, that's progress. I was gonna say. And then, man, these playoffs in both the NHL and the NBA have been amazing. And it sucks that the Caps aren't in it, and sucks the Wizards aren't in it, but it's allowed me to watch them with fresh eyes and not be like emotionally invested in a team, but just watch all the games. And there's been some really exciting matchups and games, and so I look forward to at the end of the show breaking some of that down. But we've talked about a lot of stuff, but we haven't actually got into the meat of it. The Defenders won a super exciting game. I'm going to break down the scoring super fast on this one, and then I'm going to get.
We were going to do the Commanders draft picks real quick.
Right? I forgot about that. Originally, we were doing Defenders first. I'm sorry.
No problem. We always changing up on the fly. That was a quick before the show edit on my part, so it's all good. But I figured we'd go ahead and get the tried and true what most folks are probably tuning in for right now, the Commanders draft. A lot of folks are upset. A lot of folks are happy. I'm happy. I'm not one of those folks that's, looking for a big name and splash moves and yada, yada, yada. I look at the needs. I look at the way they drafted, what positions they drafted, heavy on defense again, which some folks are complaining about, but they still addressed the offensive line, which they had in free agency, which the linemen that they signed all under the age of 29 and all can flex at different positions. The players that they drafted can flex at different positions. The defense that they drafted fills holes that needed to be filled, even though some fans thought it should be a first or a second round pick for those positions. They believe in their process. The way that I see this draft, they're locking up the defense to try to solve some of the issues that we saw last year. One of the main issues was turnovers. They had 9 interceptions as a defense as a whole through 17 games. That's not a winning formula when you have a front four like this team has. So they go out and address that by getting more defensive backs that can make things happen on the back end, along with the linebackers and offensive line. So they addressed all the issues that needed to be addressed. Now, I say that to say this with the first round pick. Cornerback Emmanuel Forbes Jr. out of Mississippi State, 6'1". Now he's $180. Everybody was making a big deal about his weight at the combine at 166 pounds, saying he's too small. He's not going to be able to play the run. He's already put on, 14 pounds of muscle since February. So he's young. He's going to grow. He's still growing. All you got to do is eat, go hit the carry out, get some chicken and mumbo and some fries a couple of times a week. He'll be all right. And if you remember, a guy named Darryl Green, 5'8", $165, one of the most aggressive corners against the run. If you go watch the tape on this kid, he's the same way. Because I went and watched the tape, and he has no problem sticking his nose in there on the running back and getting a tackle and being physical. So all of the folks that's, talking about his size and they should have drafted somebody else, I'm not even going to get into all of that. But it's a solid pick. A lot of the experts said it was a good pick. Some didn't, but We know how that goes. Second round pick. This was kind of a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting them to go defensive back two rounds in a row, but they drafted, let me make sure I get this young man's name right. Jatavius Martin, cornerback / safety out of Illinois, 5'11", 194. From the tape I looked at, he's a solid tackler. Very aggressive against the run, but he also has the speed to play outside and the recovery speed. And he's long. That's the one thing about all of the draft picks on defense. They got long, lanky guys that, can deflect passes and hopefully cause turnovers. Third round pick is a center / guard, Ricky Stromberg out of Arkansas, 6'3", 306 pounds. This young man started every position on the interior line, left guard, center, and right guard. So for the folks that was talking about offensive line, he was a four-year starter, solid. So yes, they addressed the offensive line with youth and flexibility in the interior of the line where we had issues at last year due to injury, not because of talent. Now, I want to address that also. The year before, the offensive line was rated 6th in the league. Last year, the injury bug rattled and killed our offensive line. That is why the offensive line looked like it did. That is why, along with bad offensive play calling, the offense looked like it did. With a healthy offensive line, a quality play caller, this offense has enough talent to put fear in a lot of teams. So that O-line needs to be totally revamped. They suck. Everybody needs to get fired. Pump your brakes on that. Fourth round pick, they went offensive line again, offensive tackle. Braden Daniels out of Utah, 6'4", 294 pounds. In 4 years, he only gave up five total sacks. So if that's not a quality tackle, I don't know what it is. Even though he's a fourth round pick, he can still be a quality starter. Doesn't matter what round you're drafted in. It matters how you go out there and play and develop and be a professional. That's what it's all about. Fifth round pick, they actually traded the second 6th round pick that they had to move up to draft this young man out of Clemson, defensive end / outside linebacker KJ Henry. He's also 6'4", 294 pounds. So the offensive tackle that they just drafted and the outside linebacker are the same height and weight. I thought that was kind of ironic. This young man has the burst on the outside. He has some technical and fundamental things he's definitely going to work on. His hand placement. He depends on his athleticism, which he's going to learn in the NFL. All tackles know how to deal with outside linebackers. As athletes, you have to have technique and skill, and he's going to learn those things and develop, especially with the likes of Brian Kerrigan on the coaching staff and Montez Sweat and Chase Young to learn from, along with, the other defensive specialists that we have. 6th round pick, they went running back with Chris Rodriguez Jr. out of Kentucky, 6 foot, 217 pounds. After watching the tape on him, he pretty much is Brian Robinson 2.0. Downhill runner, hard to bring down, runs angry. The intangible with him, he is a third down pass protection specialist. He's great at blitz pickup, and that is one thing that we had issues with because they were sending the house on third down. And when your running back doesn't know which gap to cover or which man to take to give his quarterback enough time, that can lead to bad things happening. So when you have a running back coming into the league that's already proficient at that, it just makes him even more invaluable to the team. So a lot of folks are asking, why did they draft a running back with the already crowded running back room with Gibson, Robinson, Patterson, Williams? You can never have too many running backs. It's not like he was a 6th round pick. There's also a 6th round pick, a guy by the name of Terrell Davis, who went back-to-back Super Bowls. That help Denver get to those Super Bowls and win those Super Bowls, even though they had went so many times and came up short. So it doesn't matter what round you drafted in, depends on how much fight you got, skill, and being able to develop as a player. And the last pick, 7th round for the Commanders, they went defense again, defensive end linebacker Andre Jones out of Louisiana, 6'4", 248 pounds. Similar to KJ Henry, they drafted in the 5th. Good edge rusher, can drop back in coverage. There's talk of him maybe, I heard a little bit of talk, not a lot, that one of these two guys might be able to drop as a linebacker in the coverage to, go beside Jamin Davis and some of the free agent acquisitions, Mayo and Kaliki Hudson, who re-signed. So, I feel like they addressed, key issues, and I see the rhyme and reason behind the way they drafted, and I give them a B- on their draft. I know some folks been, dogging and giving them C's and D's. I seen some give them, B+, A-. So that's my take on the Commanders draft. Robbie, what do you say?
I mean, you followed it a lot closer than I did. So, I mean, for me, it's always it's always hard for me to address drafts because, like, some years I'm like super high on some people out of college and they never pan out, and some people like I've never heard of before become the all-star that people like we should have known all along. And so I do think that they did a good job on shoring up our defense. I'm hoping that the injury bug doesn't hit us again. I'm hoping that having a little bit of an easier schedule this year could be helpful. So many different things have to hit right, but the coach is now on the chopping block in my mind. He's got a year to prove that this is his position to keep in the future. He's got to try to win over potentially a new owner. We still don't know how we're going to enter the season and who the owner is going to be. So there's just so many question marks beyond the draft that I have that it's hard for me to truly just focus in on the draft and be like, oh, they fixed all the needs. And I hope that you're right, that if the offensive line has time to gel, are they keeping the same offensive line coach, or did they get rid of them and starting with somebody new?
No, they actually got rid of. I was actually reading an article. I can't remember the guy's name. They got rid of the offensive line coach, who was one of the top guys. Coach Rivera said he wanted offensive coordinator Bieniemy to pick his staff, so he decided to promote the assistant under the previous offensive line coach. I can't remember his name. I read the article yesterday in passing, but yeah, the assistant has been promoted to the offensive line coach.
Nice. All right. Well, I have no idea what that means, if that's a good decision or not. I'm hoping that it is a good decision. I kind of have faith in the team in the front office. I've definitely seen a turnaround in some of the culture stuff. By the way, the Devils just scored again, took a 3-0 lead with 4:22 left in the third. So it looks like the Devils are going to advance. Which is what they kind of thought was going to happen at the beginning, but then New York, there's all those road victories for the first 4 games of this series. But then it's kind of funny that as the series has gone on, the home teams are now showing up in the final games, with the Rangers winning the last one. But then the Devils are putting together a good game here. But it's hard to know what's going to happen with this team. I didn't expect a lot from them a couple of years ago, and then they made the playoffs, right? And then I kind of had higher expectations more recently, and I haven't, there was a lot of injuries, so it's hard to know what they are. But Champ, what are some of your thoughts on the draft? Did it do the right things for you?
I said it in our group chat. Me happy. Me very happy. We all knew what one of the struggles was for this defense last season. It was giving up those big plays in the air. And now we look like we have addressed that with these 2 very talented young DBs coming in here. Our first round pick, Forbes, holds the FBS record for most pick sixes in a career. Think about that. There have been a lot of great corners that have come out of college that are Hall of Famers who don't have that many pick sixes in a career. This kid does. And Carol said it earlier. Everybody talked about how undersized he was. Darrell Green was undersized as a DB. Guess what? He's a Hall of Famer. Hello? Like, so this undersized BS, like, get that out of your mind, because Darrell Green was undersized and he's a freaking Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm happy with what this team did in the draft. They got the DBs that they wanted. They got the O-line that they wanted to be able to bring a youthful approach to the offensive line. You're going to have a second-year quarterback possibly back there at starting at QB1 and Sam Howell. So you definitely need a young, exuberant, vibrant, and athletic offensive line to protect him. You already have the pieces in place offensively at the skill position. So, I mean, I really feel like with the coaching staff that they have, Eric Bieniemy's here, so the offense should be a lot better in terms of the play calling. Defensively, they should be able to eliminate a lot of those big plays that really cost them a lot of games last season. And I think that this team can make a pretty good turnaround. Are they a playoff team? It's hard to say. I don't want to sit here. Yes, I'm a fan, I'm a longtime fan. I could easily sit here and say, oh, they're a playoff team right now. I can't say that. All I can say is that I'm very excited. This is the first season in a long time after the draft that I'm very excited to see what this team's going to look like come week one when they go out and hit the field. I want to see what these kids can do, especially those two DBs when training camp comes around and the preseason, but I can't wait to see how they develop and then what they could do when it comes down to when the games start to count. So to sum up everything I just said, and I'm going to repeat what I just said at the start, me happy, me very happy.
Yeah. Carol, any more thoughts that you have on it? I know we're going to be doing a special on it on Wednesday, but sort of your quick take analysis.
Draft. Yeah, I see they signed 13 undrafted free agents. I'll be checking them out, and then we'll give more extensive details on Wednesday with Dujan, our NCAA specialist covering the SEC, and we'll break those players down along with having a great conversation with Coach Barlow of the DC Defenders, the head coach. That is, we'll be talking with him on Wednesday before we talk Washington Commanders, and I'll use that as a segue to switch my graphics to DC Defenders.
Nice. I will.
Which
the same. Yeah. Hold on a second.
DC Defenders, who defended home turf in the playoff game for the XFL North Division Championship, where they defeated let me switch my notes to defeated the Seattle Sea Dragons 37-21 in front of another sold-out crowd at Audi Field. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there, but Lady Antoinette of At the Bar Radio, she was there, had some great pictures on her page. She was actually on the field for the game, got some good pictures with the coach and Jim Haslett, the coach of Seattle, who used to be the Commanders coach also. So it was I wish I could have been there. It was raining, but the rain let up, and it turned out to be a beautiful day and a beautiful game and a beautiful victory for the Defenders. Just to quickly go run on over the stats real quick. Jordan Tiamu had an okay day.
Carol, before you go through the stat, can I go through the scoring order first, and then you can go through the stats?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go through the score.
Oh, wow. We just got a huge raid from Davies eating a sandwich. So I really appreciate all the people for joining in. It's got a 30-person raid, Carol. So welcome on in, Davey and crew. He was interviewing EBX Aaron, who I'm a huge fan of tonight. So I know that, and in fact, Davey, I was actually photoshopping some art with you and Aaron. Originally, I was going to have you and Aaron in it. In the end, I decided to put me and you in it together from one of our first ones. But I was grabbing some images from you guys and was showing you guys live as well. So thank you so much, Davey. And thank you for the cheer as well. So I really appreciate that, and the congratulations for 2 years affiliate. We're just going through some XFL news, and I'm a big fan of so many people that just entered the chat. So I really appreciate everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna go through the quick scores. You might not know what the XFL is. It's a league done by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It was bought out originally from Vince McMahon, and it came back in 2020, and then it came then it sort of it kind of failed a little bit due to COVID. They had to kind of they sold it off, and they took a couple of years off, and then DC was the best team all regular season long, and they were able to win a very important playoff game, which is the game that we're breaking down right now, and able to make the championship game, which will be in 2 weeks. And I really appreciate all the love in chat. Thank you for all the follows and the congratulations. Real quickly, the scoring breakdown, Seattle Sea Dragons, which is the other team in the championship game. They scored a field goal first. We were able to tie it with a field goal of our own. We got a touchdown, a 44-yard pass, a beautiful pass, but it failed 2-point conversion to give a 9-3 lead at the end of the first quarter. In the second quarter, there was a 15-yard touchdown by Ben DiNucci. They also missed their 2-point conversion, so it was 9-9 going into halftime. We got a 1-yard touchdown run in the third quarter for Washington. The 2-point pass conversion failed once again to go up 15-9. We got another touchdown just about 5 minutes later at 4:49 left in the third quarter. Ethan Wolf got a 26-yard pass. And then a pass for the 2-point conversion was good. Put us up 21-9. Cameron Harris had a 1-yard touchdown run, and we got a run for a 1-point conversion to go up 29-9. They got a 34-yard touchdown pass from Ben DiNucci to make it a little closer. They did fail on their 2-point conversion, made it 30-15. And then we were able to extend that lead with an 11-yard touchdown run by Cameron Harris. 36-15. They made a 1-point conversion from Cameron Harris as well. And then with 12 seconds left, they do get a touchdown from Ben DiNucci. They failed on their 3-point conversion, and they failed on their 4th and 15 attempt to try to get another first down. DC ends up winning 37-21. They hit on the over. They win every home game. And Cameron Harris wasn't even in the league 2 weeks ago, and here he is scoring some big time touchdowns in a playoff game. Carol, now you can break down all of the cool stats that you have.
Well, first of all, I just realized that I had audio going from my other page, and for the last 40 minutes, they've been listening to something else on my feed. So I apologize. I just realized that when I check out the audio on my feed. So hopefully it all wasn't wiped out, but I know the last couple of minutes was. Getting back to the game and the task at hand, this has been a crazy episode. Jordan Teamu, 19 for 31, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Abram Smith, 23 carries, 48 yards, 2.1 yard average with a touch. Cameron Harris, 5 carries, 25 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lucky Jackson, 2 catches, 56 yards with a touch. Ethan Wolf, 1 catch, 26 yards with a touchdown. And Chris Blair, the spark plug to to the offense, 5 catches, 51 yards with a 10-yard average, no touchdowns. First downs, DC had 29, Seattle had 17. Passing, DC had 259 yards 99 yards passing, and Seattle had 278. DC had 82 yards rushing, and they held Seattle to 13 yards rushing. I believe they only had like maybe 3 or 4 attempts. They came out with the pass mentality with a wet, rainy field and a wet ball, and so they didn't adapt to the weather, and it definitely showed in the score in the second half. Total yards, 381 for DC, 251 for Seattle. The huge number penalties. Seattle 13 for 125, DC 3 for 25. Now the 3 previous weeks, DC had a double-digit amount of penalties. It's good to see them cut that down, because that definitely made their games more difficult than they had to be with all the unnecessary penalties that they were getting called. Some justified and some, I'll leave that alone. Time of possession, DC had the ball for 32 minutes, 38 seconds. Seattle had the ball for 27 minutes and 22 seconds. And third down conversions, DC went 7 for 13 and Seattle went 6 for 12. This was a very, very entertaining game. First half was back and forth. There was a couple of interceptions by Jordan that I felt kept Seattle in the game and made it a tie game 1.5. But it was good to see the adjustments made by the defenders and the effectiveness of their offense and the determination and hungry tenacity that the defense showed. If you watched the game before, you saw Greg Williams. I should have wrote this. The play-by-play guy for the Cardinals. It was his father-in-law that passed away. I forgot his name. They did a tribute. I was watching last night, and his name, I don't want to get the wrong name, but he passed away, and he dedicated the game to him, and they definitely came out effective. Like I said, they didn't be over-aggressive and getting penalties. They didn't get any turnovers for the second week in a row, which is unlike this defense because they've been forcing turnovers. But also, Michael Joseph went out in the second quarter with a pulled groin, so he was out for most of the interception leader with 4 interceptions. And the final thing I'll say is the special teams, which has been the one deficit on this team, giving up long returns, showed up and showed out. Got to give a big shout out to Pookie Williams Jr. for 2 explosive kickoff returns and a nice punt return also to change field position and maintain momentum for the defenders when Seattle was fighting, trying to claw back in this game and trying to get a lead in this game bigger than the 3 points that they had to start. So it was a great win for the defenders. It was a great 60 minutes of football. I didn't see any let up, any give up. They was focused and ready to win and ready to play. And they'll be going up against Arlington, who they defeated once already this season. Hopefully they better do it again. And as I mentioned, we'll be having
Carol, you are breaking up. I don't know what's going on with your signal. Can you hear me?
Want to say to the coach, or hey, that's the same thing with you. It might be because I should have rebooted probably. That's why I shut down OBS, but I didn't reboot the computer. That's probably what I should have did.
It's okay. I actually think it seems like a Wi-Fi issue. It's almost like a coming in and out, but I think we may have caught up to you now. But yeah, I mean, I'm so excited that you're going to have the coach on Wednesday. For anyone that's just tuning in with us, we're actually having the head coach of the DC Defenders joining us on Carol's feed. If you go to sportsothp.com and click on the socials button, you can also click on the YouTube link on sportsothp.com and you get it on Carol's YouTube feed, or if you click socials and see it on his channel. It should be a really great interview that he has with Dugenais. But yeah, no, I mean, we caught most of what you were saying. It was just breaking up a little bit at the end. I'm really happy that they were able to have such a dominant performance. It's hard to beat the same team 3 times in a row. I just want to get Champ's thoughts real quickly. Champ, what were some of your thoughts on this big win?
This game to me felt like a tale of 2 halves. The first half, you had 4 drives, and you only scored on 2 of them. They were both in the first quarter. Before the second quarter, you dealt with 2 drives that ended with deflections that turned into interceptions, including on the second one, that was a really crazy circus catch by the defensive back after a 16-play drive that went 73 yards. And you almost felt like, okay, maybe Seattle might have figured something out and be able to do something with this team. But then you go into the second half, and then you get to see the Defenders team that won 9 of 10 games throughout the regular season. They scored on every drive in the second half except for one, which was a 3-and-out in the midway point of the fourth quarter. But by then, they had really started to turn up the heat and really start to run away with this game. Teamu, to his credit, despite the fact that a lot of those interceptions were tips, still played pretty well with 258 and 2 touchdowns. The run game wasn't as effective as it has been all season, but it was still very much a good part of the offense to lead to this team having 381 total yards offensively. And I think the other storyline in this game was Seattle's collapse. After they were down by so much late in the fourth quarter, they started getting really bad penalties. That combination of roughing the passer and unsportsmanlike conduct on the one play where they hit Teamu very late, like they hit Teamu like late, like homie the ball was already out. He took 2 steps and still got knocked on his rear end. And then the guy had the nerve to kick the flag after it was thrown that led to them giving up a lot of yardage to lead to a touchdown. So that right there showed like they were just not the Seattle, even though they seemed like they weren't ready. When it came down to it, they weren't as ready as they were. And DC showed that they were definitely ready. Reggie Barlow had this team ready. Greg Williams playing with a heavy heart, had that defense ready. Ben DiNucci, which I said in our group chat, Ben DiNucci still cannot beat a football team from DC. He couldn't beat the Commanders when he was with the Cowboys, and he couldn't beat the Defenders with Seattle. Ben DiNucci is forever cursed playing a team from DC. But either way, a huge win, and now DC is only one game away from celebrating a championship for the first time, a major championship for the first time since 2019 in the Nationals. And it's a very, very exciting time for DC sports to, have this opportunity, but it's still one more game. They still got to go and do their work. Arlington, even though their record doesn't reflect it, Arlington has been red hot towards the tail end of the season, and they upset the second best team in the XFL in Houston. So clearly Arlington is a team that they definitely have to not take lightly, and they definitely have to really bring the pain.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It was a tough matchup the first time. I'm so bummed that it's being played in San Antonio next weekend, not this weekend, because I'm going to San Antonio this weekend and I'm going to be right there. But just a slightly missed opportunity. But I'm so excited for the team to go down there. I hope they find a way to make it so they can have plastic cups, because the first time that they played in that arena, it was cans only. And we got to find a way to make this beer snake happen. And I also feel bad because we had a guy who would champion the beer snake and get it started, and everyone knew where to put it, and it was a whole thing. It's where did they start it? What did they do? How does this get going? But the beer snake and the lemons are so iconic part of this season for the Defenders. I hope they're able to find a way to make it happen. People were talking about they need to bring some duct tape so they put all the cans together and make a giant a beer snake of cans, but I don't know if they would allow for that. It seems like it would be very dangerous, but it would it'd be exciting if they are able to do it. Carol, what are some more of your thoughts on
they're already putting up posts.
Exactly. I'm trying to think. So next week we'll talk a little bit more about previewing the final game. I don't, so I want to leave a little bit for that show as well. And then it will also be able to talk about what you talk with the coach, and maybe we'll even clip up some of that and maybe show some of that interview on next week's show. That could be kind of cool, like a highlight or a snippet of it. And riff off of that. But it's weird that the team that has the worst record of the four teams in the playoffs ends up making it to the finals, Carol. But this team proved, at least last week, and I don't know if it's seeing the same team 2 weeks in a row or what it was, but you can't overlook this other team in the Renegades.
Yeah, you can't overlook them. I'm gonna go check them out. I was scouting Seattle the week before, and that's why I really wasn't worried about DiNucci, because he has an arm. He can make some throws, but he makes a lot of dumb mistakes, and I figured he would, and he did, and that played into the defenders' favor. I remember the game against Arlington. They went to overtime, and they won in overtime. But I have to go check it out, which I'll be ready to do, and talk with the coach on Wednesday about the upcoming matchup, get his early thoughts before they get into their game. Well, they already game planning before they started implementing the game plan for the upcoming game. So I can't really remember. I know it was, like I said, with overtime. I can't really remember how the game was when I'm going to go back and check out the footage. But it's definitely going to be a good game, and definitely would be lovely to have another championship back. If you recall, the Valor Arena Football League, they won a championship the second year of the league of existence, and it'd be fitting for the DC Defenders to win the inaugural season of the XFL 2.0.
Yeah, it's It's gonna be interesting. I hope we can just finish the deal. I just don't, we're such a favorite team now. It's very different, than most DC teams ever find themselves in. I guess the Mystics were kind of favorite in some ways because they had kind of the run it back. They're almost won it all the year before, and then they ended up winning it. But that's kind of the closest we've gotten to a dominant team making it to the finals and us rooting for them in this 8-year run. Because the Nats were kind of the underdog story. The Caps are a bit of an underdog story that season. I know, I guess in the finals they were favored just because it was against an up and coming team, but there was just so much history against the Caps. There was still a lot of question marks if they could finally hoist the cup. But I'm super excited, and I'm just so happy that they were able to put together a dominant performance. And it almost felt like the other team quit halfway through that game in some ways, like not all the way, but like I I don't know. It was just interesting. They just committed so many penalties on themselves that they just shot themselves in the foot so many times. It was just so undisciplined. I thought I was just kind of surprised, especially knowing their head coach. Carol, what were some of your thoughts on that?
Um, it happens. Frustration sets in. You're not getting the calls you think you should be getting. You're not executing. Somebody's not, in their position of doing their assignment the right way. I saw a couple of times on some plays where some of their players was just, halfway, giving effort. Like it was a running play. Abram Smith cut to the right. The linebacker pretty much was like jogging in place, watching him run away from him. So, I'm not sure, what that is. I was watching the XFL special, 54th man, and Hines Ward was talking to his team, and he was, he made a valid point. He's like, we're trying to help you, take it to that next level, NFL, player being a pro, but you have high school tendencies. And I'm trying to get you to break those things so you can take it to the next level. But you have NFL talent, but you have high school tendencies is what's holding you back. And some of them are continuing to do that and wonder why they don't make it into the league. And some of those things are showing up. And, some folks are taking advantage of it and getting good quality stuff on tape. You heard Coach say last week that he has a feeling that Jordan Teamu will probably get picked up by an NFL team for training camp, that he probably won't be the quarterback there next year. And, he took it seriously, did his thing, having a great season, and potentially going to be the quarterback of the champion of the whole league, which is great to have on your resume, which will, maybe get him an invite to a mini camp or a training camp, and maybe he can get his spot on somebody's NFL roster because he's being a pro, taking it seriously, and going out there and doing his job. And unfortunately, some of these guys don't do those things.
Yeah, I think that it's really cool to see a league where they're getting a lot of second chances. A lot of the players in this league really are thankful for this opportunity, where I feel like some of the NFL pros are just, very cocky and they just take a lot of it for granted. And you feel like, some of these guys probably deserve a spot over some of those guys just in their work ethic and their effort they put forth. Champ, what are some of your thoughts?
Cameron Harris. The week prior to this playoff game, he was on the sidelines with no name on his jersey, right? No name on his jersey. He just came in, no name on his jersey. In this playoff game, he scores 2 rushing touchdowns. On his first rushing touchdown, they interviewed him on the sideline, and he simply said, "Hey, don't sleep on me. A lot of people slept on me. Don't sleep on me." I think this is someone we should not sleep on. The fact that he was able to score 2 rushing touchdowns in short yardage situations, as well as score on a 1-point conversion to really put the game out of reach for Seattle, that should tell you right there that that's a great story right there. That the man went from not having a name on his jersey to being one of the contributing factors to this team going to the championship game and having a chance to be only the second recognized XFL championship team in this league's history. And I think that's a very exciting thing to think about is that, and here's the crazy thing. Prior to being called into DC, he was selling cars for Toyota. He was selling cars for Toyota, and he went from being a Toyota car salesman to being in the XFL championship game after scoring 2 touchdowns in a playoff championship game. That's incredible. I got to give it up to the man. That's incredible.
Yeah, and not only was he doing that 2 weeks ago. It wasn't like it was so far in the past, like this is like what his history is before the season. Like even 3 weeks ago when we were playing, he was still selling cars. So like it's what an amazing story. I love it. I love how much we rely on our defense and the shutdown defense we see in the second half of a lot of these games. And that's exactly what we're going to need. I love watching a DC team that can make second half adjustments, Carol. It's something that we want to see a lot more in the Commanders, and we see it here with this team and in their defense and running game first and making the right adjustments on the fly. It's all the things that DC fans want, and it shows that the fans showed out on this game and all the games, and it shows that if the Commanders can get their shit together, there's still fans here of football, and people want to see so much more from that football team. And so I think that there could be some great synergy between the Defenders and the Commanders if the Commanders can find a way to follow some of this blueprint with the defense first and running game and get that all shored up. Because for me, you should be able to root for both of these teams, and I hope that we can see a turnaround in the Commanders and have them emulate some of what we see here with the Defenders. But Carol, any final?
Yeah, I definitely think you're going to see that this year with the Commanders and the way that they would Coach Bieniemy coming in. Is definitely going to believes in the run. So I believe you're going to see a more concentrated effort of the run, which is going to open up the pass game. And like I said, with the defense, the way they're building it, it should be plenty of opportunities for the offense, because between turnovers and hopefully getting more 3-and-outs and cutting these long drives down and getting the other team off the field, the offense should have plenty of opportunity to get points and put the opponent in a one-dimensional mind frame of having to throw the ball to catch up, because we've got a 2-touchdown lead on them instead of a 2 field goal lead, which will play into our defense's hands in the front four, which will hopefully get more deflections or sacks, which leads to turnovers. So I see the method to their madness, and I believe they've been watching the Defenders. A couple of the players were at the last home game. I believe it was Holmes, and it was 2 defensive guys, Holmes, and I can't remember who the other guy was right now, but they were at the game, and I'm hoping they saw it and went back and told the defense, hey, they're balling and the crowd was loving it. We need to do the same thing for our fans and go out there and play that way. So I think it'll translate to that. And most likely I will be at training camp this year, since Ashburn is right down the street from me now that I'm now a Northern Virginia resident.
So crazy. You went to the dark side and you left the Maryland side, but I know Champ probably likes that because you can hang out with him over on the other side.
I had to go, Robbie. I couldn't do it no more. I had to go.
I'm now the last
45
Maryland
years,
person.
Man.
The last Maryland holdout in this roundtable.
45 years, Robbie.
Hey, Carol.
I'll come back and visit.
Hey, Carol, I did it for 37 in DC, so I feel you, player.
So
can't do it no more. I gotta go.
I do have to give a little shout out to the Man Cave Studios here today. So I celebrate 10 years in this house, and so the studio has been good to me. So I'm pretty happy here in the great state of Maryland. But I do appreciate that you guys both live in Virginia. We'll have to definitely do some barbecues out there for sure this summer.
Definitely. Plenty of room. The lab/basement studio is already started to get redone, and there will be cookouts and there will be some nice interviews and events coming to you live, and you will also be getting some insurance advice coming from CP3, because I am now a licensed agent for New York Life and a life, health, and annuity agent. So yes, you will be getting some Facebook Lives and some videos talking about life insurance and the benefits to you and your family and your wealth. So stay tuned for that also.
Nice. Good. All sorts of facts coming from Carol now about life and
I've been off the air for too long, Robbie. I got a whole bunch, man.
Nice. So yeah, all right. Well, I think that's all we're gonna do for XFL talk today, because it's run longer than I expected. We've had a couple technical glitches, but it's never a podcast without something happening. But it's been fun breaking it down with you, Champ. I'm gonna let you go, and then we're gonna have Carol talk a little baseball But Champ, I do want to have your parting shout outs and also give your talk about what's on the No Spots podcast this week.
Right. So this week on the No Spots podcast, we will be covering the second half of the WWE draft, which is ongoing right now. I'm actually watching Monday Night Raw as we speak. They just finished the fourth round of picks, the final round of picks, and then there'll be picks made after Raw. So myself and Sid will be covering those picks and looking at the effect. Well, they're about to do the final round of picks right now, but we're going to be covering those all that this Saturday, as well as everything that happened this week on Raw. And was this Friday actually, and we're going to be previewing Backlash, which is this Saturday night. It's going to be live in Puerto Rico, which is going to be the first time since New Year's Revolution in 2005 that the WWE has held a major pay-per-view event in Puerto Rico. So we're going to be previewing that as well. So make sure you check us out, twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod. The audio will be up on SportsOTHP.com under the Partners Podcast button. And we will be doing a live reactions to Backlash Saturday night on our Twitch channel as well. So make sure you check us out there.
I appreciate you as always. I'm going to give you the fancy shout out today as well, just so people can follow you easier on the True No Spots Pod. And really appreciate all that you do for us. Champ, congratulations on breaking the 200 podcast barrier in season 5 and being a part of this True Radio Network with us. And we'll definitely talk more XFL next week with you, and hope that you've got a great week ahead.
Absolutely. No quigueño. Sayonara.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to switch to some baseball talk real quickly. Carol, maybe I don't know how fast you can go through the games, but maybe an abbreviated one. I don't know, because we still have so many things we need to talk about. But you can go as in depth as you want to go. I'm going to take a 5-minute water break and let you break it down as you want to. But we could.
Messed up. I forgot that we were going to 2-person. Give me a quick second. Let me import the net stats real quick.
No problem.
So I can have those up. I thought I forgot we were going to be in the 2-person. I did everything else and forgot to
All
bring.
good. But while you do that, Carol, I'll give scoring updates on all the different games that are happening tonight, and then
Beautiful. Go ahead and do that real quick.
Yeah, and then you can let me know when you're ready to go, and we'll rock and roll from there. So, is a little bit of a recap. The New Jersey Devils crushed the Rangers 4-0 in a shutout. The Devils, it's been an interesting series. Vitek Vanacek, got benched, and it was interesting. They started. Is it Akira Schmid? I don't even know his name. I haven't followed him too closely, but he had 3 wins and 1 loss in this series, and really sealed the deal for them. Vanacek was had 2 losses to his belt, and so it's been I don't know. It was a frustrating playoffs for him for sure. But anyway, the New Jersey Devils were able to advance in that. They'll play Carolina, and we'll talk a little bit more about them a little bit later. And then in the basketball side of things, it's been an interesting day. There's been 2 of our second round games. The game 1 of the 76ers versus the Celtics. The 76ers won a very close one, 119-115. And the other game is currently at halftime, with the Suns up over the Nuggets in game 2 of that series, 42-40. The Suns are up by 2 points again at halftime. The Suns did lose game 1. This game is in Denver. The Celtics did lose at home in that 119-115 game. And so both games have been close and exciting. Carol, are you ready, or do you want me to talk about some other stuff first?
Oh no, I'm good to go, ready to rock and roll.
All right, go for it. I'm gonna go grab some water and some things real fast, and I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good. About to get into some Nats talk. Quick recap of the week. As we mentioned earlier, they went 3-3, won 2 out of 3 versus the Mets, and won 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3 versus Pittsburgh. They 4-6 in the last 10. currently sitting 10-17. Well, now 10-18 with the loss tonight. I'll recap that next week. I didn't get a chance to write those stats down. But let's do a quick recap of the week that was with the winning the series against the New York Mets, which is their first series against them this year. Last year they went 5-14. So it was good to get a series win against them the first time out to let them know that, it's not the same team from last year. It was a 5-0 win, was the first game of the series. Solid pitching from the start and from the bullpen. It was a 2-pitcher shutout. Josiah Gray earned his first victory of the year. Finally got some run support. That puts him at 1-4. He went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, no runs with 9 strikeouts and 1 walk. Jose Buto took the loss. That dropped him to 0-1. He went 4 2/3, giving up 4 hits, 2 runs, with 1 strikeout and 6 walks. And Mason Thompson earned his first save of the season. He got a 3-inning save, giving up only 1 hit with no runs, with 4 strikeouts and no walks. The top of the second, the Nats got the scoring going with a solo home run. Oh man, I can't even read that handwriting. Jesus. What was that against the Mets? I can't even read what I wrote. That's bad. Solo home run. It was a second. I'm trying to think of this. I'm drawing a blank and I can't read my handwriting. So we'll move forward. I made it 1-0. Top of the third, Joey Meneses had an RBI single, which made it 2-0. And the top of the sixth, the Nats added on with Luis Garcia with the 2-run RBI double, making it 4-0. And then Meneses came up and got him home with the RBI single, making it 5-0, which was the final score of the game, which was a great way to go into the second game, which was also a victory for the Nats. 4-1 win, which had to put the Mets on a 4-game losing streak, which I believe I saw was the first time in 2 years they had a losing streak that long. And like I said, 4-1 victory. Mackenzie Gore got his 3rd win of the season. I put him at 3-1. He went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, 1 run with 10 strikeouts and 2 walks. Cody Jenga took the loss. That drops him to 3-1. He went 5 innings, giving up 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 strikeouts, 7 strikeouts and 4 walks. And Kyle Finnegan earned his 5th save of the season, going 1 inning, giving up no hits and runs with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Top of the second, Lane Thomas had an RBI single. Then C.J. Abrams had an RBI single also, making it 2-0. Top of the second, Jameer Candelero had a solo home run, his 4th of the season, which made it 3-1. And the top of the 8th, Alex Call had an RBI single, making it 4-1, which was the final score. And the last game of the series, the Nets were looking to sweep. And unfortunately, they came up a little bit short with a 9-8 loss. This game, they were actually down by 3 runs in the the top of the 8th, and were able to come back and take the lead, but unfortunately gave up the lead in the bottom of the 8th after they had took the lead and couldn't get over that hump to get another run to tie the 4th extra innings or to hopefully win the game. As I said, it was a 9-8 loss. Brooke Riley earned the victory. That put him at 1-0, his first of the season. He went 1 inning, giving up 1 hit, 2 runs with no strikeouts and no walks. Mason Thompson dropped to 2-2. He went an inning and a third of an inning, 3 hits, 2 runs with no strikeouts and no walks. And David Robertson earned the save, his 5th of the season. He went 1 inning, giving him no hits or runs with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Top of the third, Alex Call had a solo home run, his 2nd of the season. That made it 1-1. The top of the 6th, Luis Garcia had an RBI single, making it closer to it was a 4-2 game. Then Victor Robles had a fielder's choice RBI that made it 4-3. But unfortunately, the Mets tacked on a couple of runs, made it 7-4. That's then in the top of the 8th, Luis Garcia, 7-3, I'm sorry. And then in the top of the 8th, Luis Garcia had a sacrifice fly, making it 7-4. The Nats then got the bases loaded, and C.J. Abrams hit a grand slam, his second home run of the season, making it 8-7, giving the Nats the lead. But as I mentioned, in the bottom of the eighth, the Mets were able to get the go-ahead run on an RBI triple, making it 8-7, and 9-8, which was the final score. And unfortunately, the Nats weren't able to get the sweep, but they won 2 out of 3, which is a good thing, especially when it's against someone in your division. After their matchup with the Mets, they faced a hot Pittsburgh team, and unfortunately, the game got rained out on Friday, so they played a doubleheader on Saturday. And the first game was close. It was a 6-3 loss by the Nats. Unfortunately, the bullpen gave up some walks late in the game and came back to bite them in the butt. It was a close game. They were down 1 run, looking to gain some momentum and get some runs, but unfortunately, the bullpen has been very effective. I believe they had a 1.74 ERA before this game for the start of the season. So, like I said, there are some bright spots with the Nats, but, some of the glaring issues outweigh the, good that you want to see, because there's a lot of issues that, need to get taken care of on the offensive end. More selective hitting, more selective pitch selection, and, just not trying to do too much. I've seen that already with the start of the season, that some of the players are trying to do more than what they need to do because they're trying to spark the team and get the team going in the right direction. You just do your job, play your position, and do what you're supposed to do. Good things will happen. Rich Hill earned the victory for Pittsburgh. That put him at 3-2. He went 6 in the third, giving up 8 hits, 3 runs. 2 of those earned with 5 strikeouts and no walks. Patrick Corbin dropped to 1-4. He went 5 in the third, giving up 7 hits, 3 runs with 2 strikeouts and 1 walk. And David Bernard earned his 9th save of the season. He went 1 inning, giving up no runs, no hits with no walks with 2 strikeouts. The bottom of the 4th, Riley Adams had a 2-run RBI double, which had tied the game, made it 2-2. And in the bottom of the 6th, Lane Thomas had a ground out RBI, which made it a 4-3 game. But unfortunately, the Nats gave up 2 more runs in the 8th after walking one man, putting them on. And then, like I said, unfortunately, the bullpen faltered for the first time in a long time, being that they've been executing very well. Next game of the doubleheader, which was ugly, 16-1 loss by the Nats. So, yeah, I didn't even watch that game. It got out of hand early, and Pittsburgh pretty much handled their business. Vince Velasquez earned the victory. That puts him at 4-2. He went 6 innings, giving up 5 hits, no runs with 5 strikeouts and no walks. Chad Kuhl took the loss, was dropping to 0-2. He went 3 2/3, giving up 7 hits, 8 runs, 4 strikeouts, and 4 walks. Today he went on the IL with a foot injury. Apparently in that game, when he planted, he stepped in Velasquez's plant spot instead of his, and that's what kind of led to his early exit and his ineffectiveness, that he had some type of discomfort. So he got put on the 15-day injured list today. This was a 16-0 game until the bottom of the 9th when Dominic Smith hit his first home run of the season, a solo shot, making it 16-1. And the last game of the series, which was yesterday, the Nats were able to salvage it and not get swept at home. Thank goodness. It was a 7-2 win. Josiah Gray won his 2nd game in a row, actually got run support 2 games in a row that he was starting. That's a great sign because he's been pitching very well, but unfortunately he hasn't been getting any run support. That put him at 2-4. He went 6 innings, giving up 3 hits, 1 run with 6 strikeouts and 3 walks. John Oviendo dropped to 2-2. He went 2 1/3, giving up 9 hits, 7 runs, 1 strikeout and 2 walks. The bottom of the 1st, Candelero had a 2-run RBI double, which made it 2-0. Bottom of the 2nd, Garcia had a 2-run RBI single, which made it 4-0. Joey Meneses then came up and got him home with the RBI single, making it 5-0. And the bottom of the 3rd, Victor Robles had a 2-run RBI double, making 7-1 at that point. and the Pittsburgh Pirates added on one run later on in the game to make it a 7-2 final. Nats win 1 out of 3 in the week, 3-3. And on the upcoming schedule, starting tonight, which the game I just mentioned that they lost 5-1 to the Cubs, have a 4-game series versus the Cubs at Nats Park. Today was a 7:05 start. Tomorrow will be a 7:05 start. Wednesday will be a 7:05 start. And Thursday is a 1:05 start. Then the Nats travel to Arizona for a 3-game weekend set. They first pitch is 9:40 on Friday. Saturday it's an 8:10 first pitch, and Sunday it's a 4:10 start. So hopefully the Nats can try to get back on the winning ways and salvage this week and maybe get another. Well, it's gonna be hard. Can't get 500 a week on it with 7 games in the week, but hopefully they can get close to 500, if not above. If they can get hot and beat this Cubs team who just got swept this past weekend themselves. So hopefully tomorrow they have a better outcome and can hopefully get back to winning ways. They're currently 10-18, 8 games under 500 in 5th place in the division, only 9 games back of the division leading Mets.
Holy moly. So somebody in chat. So last week we got a new fan of the show who joined from Facebook and came over to Twitch. And Carol, as you know, it's really hard to get people to move platform to platform. We've tried to do it across lots of different platforms for 8 years. But I really appreciate, he goes by DMV Deadpool and the XFL groups. He's a super fan of the XFL Defenders. And he just told me in chat here on Twitch that he's actually going to the championship game in San Antonio. So if we win that game, I want to bring him on the show and get a first-person account of going to that championship game. So if we win, I definitely want to make that happen. I'll reach out to him. He's also on Facebook as well. He said he's just friended you on there in addition, Carol. So just that way he can check out the big interview if anyone's catching us late that we're doing. And I'm so excited with the coach of the XFL Defenders on Wednesday at 4. And then Carol will have Dujanay on live to also be talking about all the draft stuff as well. We did do a little draft talk earlier and a little XFL talk earlier, but they'll go much more in depth. I want to give a quick scoring update. Phoenix is up 49-48 with Kevin Durant at the line shooting a free throw, and he makes it. So now they're up 50-48 with 8 minutes left to go in the third quarter here. And once again, I'm so sorry. I did find out that this DMV Deadpool, he goes by Hound Doom on Twitch, is a Rangers fan. They lost 4-0 tonight. So that's tough. And Davey, thank you for the lurk. But yeah, it's been a wild night, Carol, for a whole lot of teams and a whole lot of things with the podcast. I do want to break down the NBA, the end of the first round, and the NHL real quickly with you. Do you want me to do it where I show stats on screen, or do you just want me to do this a 2-up with you? Which is easier for you, Carol? I can do either of them.
Give me a quick sec. I can pull up the other feed and yeah, you could if you wanted to share the screen and with the stats, that's fine. We should be good to go.
All right, sweet. All right, let me switch a couple of things around real fast. But thank you for all of the baseball talk. I always appreciate your breakdown of the Nats. We're going to start off with the NBA, right? You want to do that one first, and then we'll do the NHL last. We'll save that one.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, so we'll do that real quickly. I'm going to swap a couple of screens around and share this one right here. And I'm going to make Carol a little bigger on my screen. Just give me a second. Zoom meeting. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, there we go. All right, I'm going to make